come across some interesting characters on this channel, but today I'm telling you the story of one of the biggest badasses I've ever come across. I bring you this story today as it's the 2nd of September, which marks 68 years since the death of the living legend, Peter Freuchen, and also happens to be my birthday. So this is a present and a party for us all. I don't actually know where to start with Peter Freuchen, because his story is awe-inspiring and so absurd. He was a Danish explorer, author, journalist, and anthropologist, and his life is like the work of fiction and the stuff of legends, featuring Arctic explorations, reaching across the void to connect with Inuits, getting frostbite, in the process cutting off his toes with a pair of pliers without anesthesia, killing a wolf with his bare hands, escaping Nazi imprisonment, a couple of failed marriages, starring in an Oscar-winning Hollywood film based on a book that he wrote, and winning $64,000 on a game show, all within 71 years of life between 1886 and 1957. He got his start in 1906, where, at just the age of 20, he dropped out of his medical degree to join the Denmark expedition. He was enamoured with the Arctic, journeying across Greenland on a dog sled, eventually reaching Thule. He says in his book, Arctic Adventure, My Life in the Frozen North, "They now advise me to stay at home, take a job and behave myself, which meant to me, stay at home and be dull, never do a thing you have not seen thousands of others do in the exact same way." He did not look back, spending the next 15 years in many expeditions, often with famous polar explorer Knud Rasmussen by his side. In 1910, the pair established the Thule training station at North Star Bay, just 800 miles from the North Pole. It was the most northerly trading post in the world, and became his base for a series of 7 expeditions between 1912 and 1933. The first of which, the pair tested a theory that the Peary-land in Greenland wasn't divided by a river, undertaking a 1,000-kilometre long journey that almost killed them all. In Vagrant Viking, 1953, he tells a story of when he got stuck under an avalanche. He found himself stuck in tightly compacted snow and could not move for 30 hours. He used his own feces to create a dagger to carve his way out of the ice and climb his way out for 3 hours to crawl back to base camp. At Thule, Freuchen and Rasmussen met Inuit people, learning their language and going on hunting expeditions for whales, walruses, wolves and polar bears. He became an expert in Greenland's native people. He wrote of Eskimo cannibalism and spending 3 months in winter darkness, and it being so cold that his breath would turn to ice inside his cabin. This is where Freuchen met his first wife, Navarana. They married in 1911 and had 2 children together. One of his grandsons went on to become the first person of Inuit descent to be elected in Canadian Parliament. In 1921, tragedy struck, and Navarana sadly passed away from Spanish flu. The local church did not allow her to be buried, being not baptised, and so Freuchen dug her own grave and buried her himself. After his wife's death, Freuchen returned to Denmark, where he joined the Social Democrat Party. In this time, he began his career as a best-selling author, penning over 30 books on Inuit culture and his adventures into the freezing abyss, the most famous being the Book of Eskimos. One quote reads, "The Greenland fjords are peculiar for the spells of completely quiet winter, when there is not enough wind to blow out a mat, and the water is like a sheet of glass. The kayak hunter sits still on his boat, so as not to scare the shy seals away. The sun, low in the sky, sends a glare into his eyes. The reflex from the mirror-like water hypnotizes him. He seems to be unable to move, and all of a sudden it is as if he were floating in the bottomless void, sinking, sinking, sinking. Horror-stricken, he tries to stir, to cry out, but he cannot, and he is completely paralyzed. He just falls and falls." Freuchen next married a millionaire, a margarine heiress whose parents paid Freuchen to edit their newly founded magazine, which was still running to this day. He's still doing mad shit though. One time he was caught in a storm in Greenland and he took refuge under his sled. The snow piled up and his beard became stuck to the ice. He could not move his head. He tried for 30 hours to fight his way out, when the aforementioned shit situation was employed as an escape tactic. Once he returned to home base, his toes were frostbitten and gangrenous. Knowing what he had to do, he began to hack at them with a pair of pliers and a hammer, amputating them without anesthesia. He's obviously a man with many stories to tell. It was in this time that he got involved in the movie industry, consulting on Arctic scripts such as the Oscar-winning Eskimo Marla the Magnificent, written completely in Inuit with English subtitles, and where he himself played the villain. During the premiere of the movie, Hitler's favourite director, Leni Riefenstahl, came to the party. Freuchen picked her up and span her round and round in sheer delight at his prank. Freuchen, interested in socialism and anti-fascism, was heavily involved in the Danish resistance to Nazism. He actually claimed often to be Jewish when faced with anti-Semitism. He took part in subverting Nazi operations and hiding refugees. Hitler hated him and sentenced him to death. But Freuchen was a bear that could not be taken down. He escaped prison and made it to Sweden. By 1945, he had moved to New York and married Danish-Jewish designer Dagmar Freuchen-Gale, who was the illustrator for Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. It's with her that this iconic picture is taken, a towering 6'7" Viking of a man, one-legged and cloaked in a polar skin that he killed himself. He enjoyed his time in New York, joining the New York Explorers Club, where a big painting of him sat between taxidermied heads of wildlife. It was at this time that Freuchen entered the American television show The $64,000 Question, where he answered the winning question on the subject of the seven seas and walked away with the prize money, which equates to around $800,000 in today's money. Just days after finishing his final book, The Book of the Seven Seas, Freuchen, our favourite giant, suffered a fatal heart attack. His ashes were scattered over Mount Dundas Thule in Greenland. This legacy and impact as an explorer is well summarised in his obituary in the New York Times, with him going down in history as better known to more people in the United States than any other explorer of our time. That was a whirlwind. I feel incredibly inspired. Bring back Arctic explorers, I'd say. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Give us a like if you liked and subscribe for more. I bring out new episodes every Tuesday. Goodbye.